Tyler the Creator released a new interview with Maverick Carter of Spring Hill talking about a lot of things. Notably talking about his life and music. He's talking about his mom, how he thinks will.i.am is a genius. And I think he has a really, really sweet apology to Eminem. Basically, Tyler the Creator had some tweets in 2010 that was shitting on Eminem's album Relapse and Recovery. And basically, then Tyler the Creator watched the show on Netflix and basically realized that he didn't have the same perspective as he did in 2009, 2010, and he regrets those things, which I think is honestly beautiful and is one of the things about Tyler that I like a lot, is that he constantly shows that he's growing. But real ones, let me know what y'all think, because the main crux of the interview is basically how people make it seem like he's talking about how he's going for the soul of hip hop and how he interacts with fans and how he's interacting with music from this one specific white rapper, which I'll get to in a little bit. Tyler talks about how in 2011, when he signed a record deal, that the human brain could not theoretically comprehend the social media landscape that it would be walking into in 2024. And that is very true. As someone that's 35 years old, I know this is about to date myself to a lot of y'all watching this, but as someone that is 35 years old that was around in 2011 when Tyler the Creator was first signed and was first dropping music on Tumblr, no one in their right mind could have possibly thought that we would be here right now. And Tyler posits this from a perspective of someone that constantly has people walking up to him, that doesn't have as much privacy as he used to, and also talks about the parasocial relationships that are created by the social media nowadays. Something he says in the interview is like, oh my god, I know what my favorite rapper is eating for breakfast. That's amazing. And that is truly something that people really have kind of globbed onto as of late, and it's kind of weird. Another thing, he talks about people following his mother home, or just basically saying, if you act weird about me, acting weird around me is what gets you shot. And I don't think he's saying that literally, but I think he's speaking about it from a perspective of someone that constantly has security walking around him, and that knows that if you are going to act weird around him, it's going to cause security to put hands on you. And Tyler is known to have like a general, I don't want to say he doesn't like his fans, but he's known to have a general disdain for his fans. And if you make it this far, drop a W, because I'm about to get to my point about the later white rapper in a second, but it makes total sense. But in a 2019 interview with GQ, Tyler the Creator talks about how he calls some of his fans, or people that are unaware around him, goobers, right? He says, I hate people who are unaware. I fucking hate goobers. Goobers. Oops, I tripped. Stay the fuck away from me. And later in the interview, he talks about how someone was driving an Escalade or an SUV bumping Tyler's music, and Tyler effectively walks up to the guy, insults him. The guy laughs about it and drives away. And all of Tyler's friends that were with him at the interview basically go on this whole riff about how, basically saying that Tyler just doesn't like this. Like, he's like, stop trying to act like you know me. And Tyler has rapped about this on Call Me If You Get Lost, about rappers acting like they're super cool with him when he really doesn't know him. Basically, people having parasocial relationships. And also, he mentions this on Dogtooth, and this has to do with the social media feed. He says this, not sure what y'all overheard, but it's probably what I said, bitch. I'm out here living, y'all are on the feed. And Tyler is basically talking about how everyone is obsessed with social media nowadays, which is a fact. But I will say one thing. I'll say one thing. I feel like personally, it's a privilege to not have to play into the social media economics that everyone else has to do, especially if you work in a creative field. Basically, if I was a musician today, if I was coming up as a musician today, you have to be on social media. There's no way you can blow, there's no way you can get any notice of any type of label if you are not on social media. If you're not on YouTube, if you're not on TikTok, if you're not on Snapchat, if you're not making videos on Instagram, if you're not doing this, there's no way you could blow up. It's just impossible. And Tyler came up in a world where he was on Tumblr, but he didn't necessarily have to do all the gimmicks that artists have to do nowadays in order to sell their music. He didn't have to come up with dances. He didn't have to come up with fake controversy. All he had to do was just effectively be himself, make the music that he liked. He had a core fan base that was locked in because of Tumblr. Tumblr was a very personality-driven space, and it wasn't necessarily as algorithmically driven as things are nowadays, whereas things are really driven to kind of incite and to kind of get you to click. Whereas back in the day, It was just you attached to people that you actually fucked with, and it showed you their content. And it was also coming through chronologically and not algorithmically. So you didn't have to do the antics in order to get attention. If you had a huge following and you posted at the same time that anybody else was posting, people would see your stuff just because it was there, because you had a huge following. When you had a huge following, it was guaranteed that people will see your stuff. Nowadays, that's not even guaranteed. So Tyler, at his big age in 2024, is one of the biggest rappers on the planet, and he's talking about how he's on the feed, everyone else is on the feed, and he's out here living. And I'm gonna say that's a privilege, because personally, if I was rich, you would not see me on Instagram, you would not see me on YouTube, you would not see me on any of these platforms. I would probably have a burner that maybe 10 other people knew about, but you would not see me. And it also makes me think to myself, why is Drake so online as he is? Because if you're that rich, why are you even coming and playing down with the plebs like the rest of us that have to be on social media? So this brings me to the point of what everyone else is talking about. Partway through the interview, about like 20 minutes in, he effectively feels like he's arguing for the soul of hip hop, and he effectively critiques a lot of these rappers that don't know how to perform, that all look the same, that are rapping the same way. And these are complaints that he's had, maybe not complaints, these are critiques that he's had on his music for a long time. He's been saying this, but he specifically calls out this one white rapper without naming him, that is saying that he's kind of mocking hip hop through the way that he's positing himself as this crazy drill rapper, even though he is not a big drill rapper. The rapper that it appears that he's talking about is this rapper Ian. Now, this rapper is effectively a bro that makes trap music. He has about 6 million listeners on Spotify. He is humongous. And he dropped an album called Valedictorian a couple months ago, I think in about May or so, and it's terrible. It's honestly terrible. And Ian has had a meteoric rise. He has a Cole Bennett music video. He's been dropping all of these songs, and they're all doing numbers. And I think a big part of his draw is that a lot of the fan base, which happens to look just like Ian, sees themselves in him. And Tyler is saying that he is mocking hip hop by effectively using the influence of a Gucci Mane, of a Travis Scott, of a Playboi Carti, of a Young Thug, and saying, well, look, I didn't come from their life, but I can use that music that they're making and become famous myself. And basically selling that to his fans that are saying like, look, you could do it too if you were just me. And in some ways, I kind of buy that. I don't necessarily know if Ian is an industry plant. Real ones, let me know what y'all think. I mean, it definitely has all the makings of one. I don't think he's beating any allegations if he were to be charged with something like that. But I really believe that a big part of it is that Ian is able to glide on this suburban bro image while making music that doesn't sound like it because he is white. I know this is going to trigger a lot of folks, but stick with me here. What I'm trying to say is that if Ian was like me, another person that came from the suburbs, I did not have the rough upbringing that a Young Thug, that a Future had, that a 50 Cent had, that a Pop Smoke had, rest his soul. I didn't have the rough upbringing that they had. But if I were to make music that was like Ian, and to make music videos, and to effectively put that out there that, hey, look, I didn't have this edgy lifestyle, but I make edgy music, it wouldn't work. A label would not be able to market that, because when you are black, you have to also be embodiment of image-wise of the music that you are creating. Because like a lot of people have been pointing out that a lot of these rappers are fakers. A lot of these rappers don't actually live the lives that they rap about, which is true. But it's one thing to be black and grow up in the hood, but not actually be a shooter and rap about it. And another thing to be white and rap about trap music as if you have ops when you really don't have ops. Like, you're really worried about if you're going to become homecoming king. Like, that's not really what your life is about. And I feel like Tyler is kind of calling this out because he is almost effectively calling out the goobers that are his fans. Because I've been to a Tyler show. If you've been to a Tyler show, you too have also seen what his fan base looks like. His fan base looks like Ian. That's what his fan base looks like. They look like this guy. They look like him. And he is effectively watching this and seeing like, look at all my fans. Look at all these kids that like effectively have been watching my music, that have been downloading my shit, that have been that have been supporting me, and he doesn't necessarily like them. I mean, the way that he kind of called out his fans, their Discord, the weird stuff that they be posting in their Discord, it's a similar vibe. So personally, I feel like Tyler isn't necessarily going for the soul of hip hop, but I also feel like being a white rapper, when you are a white rapper, you have a very thin line to tread, and you got to do it well, and you got to do it authentically. And I feel like Ian isn't necessarily doing it authentically, because even though he listens to this music, he's making music that doesn't come from the culture that he is from. I mean, you see his On the Block freestyle. It's effectively at lunch. Like, he's effectively at lunch with his family, American flag in the background. It's giving very MAGA, and honestly, it feels disrespectful. I'm gonna say it feels disrespectful. Anyways, that's my take. Drop a W if you made it this far. Let me know what y'all think. Shout outs to the real ones. Follow, like, and subscribe. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.